Little Germany is a complete loss at this point. The road to Little Germany is completely washed away.
We shouldn't have worked. We shouldn't have been there. None of us should have been there.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah. It's gonna take a long time.
The lives of so many in our community were changed 6 months ago this week when Helene moved across the region, dumping a massive amount of rain and causing devastating flooding.
Throughout the week, we will be revisiting some of the hardest hit communities in our area to see where they are on the road to recovery. The images from the days after the initial flooding are unforgettable. Perhaps the hardest hit area in the region was Unicoi County.
News 5's Janya Nordello spent weeks in Unicoi County after the initial flooding, and she went back to the area this week to get an update on the county's recovery.
Friday, September 27th, 2024 is a day that no one in our region could prepare for. Floods caused by Helene affected hundreds of thousands of people and left some with nothing but the shirts on their back, and for others, it was their last day alive. This is a story of a small Northeast Tennessee community called Unicoi County. They were one of the hardest hit areas, but are working on rebuilding one day at a time.
It was a week before Apple Festival, which is the largest event in our county, and we were preparing for it. Never dreamed that this would happen. We knew it was flooding. We thought it was just going to be a normal flood like we get, so we were working.
I mean, looking back now, it was very naive. We knew the forecast was really bad. We had already called school off. I think most of the region had. But generally, those forecasts don't materialize, as bad as it was forecasted.
Can you kind of take me back to the day when the floods hit? Did you expect it to be as bad as it was?
We had no anticipation that the flood was going to be anywhere of the magnitude that we saw. The day before, we actually had received a lot of rain.
Officials tell me the day before the floods on September 26 was an average rainy day with minor flooding.
So there's that stream of moisture coming northward all the way from the Gulf of Mexico. This is out ahead of Helene.
However, it also became the last day everything was normal.
Riverview Church just collapsed. The whole bridge is now collapsed. It's coming down the river. It's going into houses up here. We need to evacuate these people.
The water that was coming out of the gorge, coming down the Nolichucky that day, was like it was mad. The trees that were floating by with stumps as big as cars still attached to them, and not just one, but hundreds. As far as you could see, it was just a debris field of just trees and debris coming down.
Makes you feel insignificant. It's very humbling, right? To see kind of that power, that level of destruction happening in places where you just kind of take for granted that these roads, these bridges, these businesses, these homes, these people are here, right? And to see them very quickly just wiped away is a very humbling experience.
For context, during peak season, Niagara Falls rushes at 100,000 cubic feet per second. On the day of the flood, the strength of the Nolichucky surpassed that, roaring through its banks at 160,000 cubic feet per second. The south side of Unicoi County is the area most affected, where 50 people had to be rescued by helicopter on the roof of the Unicoi County Hospital. One of those rescued was the county's EMA director, Jimmy Irwin. Irwin shared this cell phone footage from that day.
We train our lives to handle situations like that, but we were scared. Most of the people on the hospital called their family members, told them goodbye. It was scary, probably one of the scariest things in my life. And as I made my phone call to my wife to tell her goodbye, hey, we're good. We'll be home later. And I kept trying to stay positive with her, but in the back of your mind, this could be it. took me a few minutes as I come up in the helicopter and as I flew around and I looked and I was like, oh my God, it hit the industrial park. You know, bridges are out.
Working at the industrial park were 6 Impact Plastics employees, all of whom fell victim to the flood.
I knew some of these people. I knew the families. The families knew me, the Hispanics, and we had a bond. I talked with them, and we talked daily. And we were working hard, and we felt the pain that they were feeling. It's our community.
We'll never get over those that we lost, and we mourn with those families.
The devastation ripped my heart out because I know these people personally and I love them. And my heart hurts for what they've lost. And my heart hurts for the people that we lost.
Apart from the human tragedies, infrastructure and the economy also took a major hit.
On the 27th, we approximately had 20 houses that were destroyed, and probably another 20, 30 people who had damage of it. But as a whole, our whole population in Unicoi County, which is like 17,800, everyone in Unicoi County was affected. Even if they didn't get rain damage that day, the psychological, the mental effects of the way our community will never look like it did before.
We had 283 jobs in our industrial park because it was wiped out, immediately became unemployed. So there's probably not a life or a family that's in our community that either they were affected or a family member was affected.
Insofar that disproportionately, the primary damage we suffered is economic in terms of job loss. Certainly, we've had people who lost their lives, we had people who lost their homes, but it's the job loss that's going to have those ripple effects to a significantly higher number of people.
While there are many challenges and the heartache is still raw, the community has come together, determined to rebuild.
We're trying to secure the money through FEMA to rebuild all of our roads, because once the dump trucks and all of the construction is completed, our roads are in really bad shape. So we're hoping to have the money secured to repave all of them, fix all of the communities back.
As tourism director, I am scared because everything has changed and a lot of our businesses can't open this year. But I know these people. I know them very well, and I know that they're going to do everything they can to bring their businesses back, and they're going to do everything they can to make this new normal work for us.
Feels like a lifetime ago, but it's really 6 months. And in 6 months, a lot has taken place. If you go to the industrial park, you'll see the road that's put in. There's some infrastructure that's available now for the facilities. Some of the businesses that are in the industrial park are just second to none. They're committed to reopening, although, you know, that's a very expensive, that's a very huge loss, but they're committed to Unicoi County and their employees, and they're working very hard to reopen.
And the biggest need in the community right now, more helping hands.
If you're out there and want to get involved, we need people to get connected to this work. There are some very specific ways that we can enable that to happen. We have committees that we've set up, basically structured the work into finance, into construction, into spiritual health, into advocacy, all these different types of services that are needed in the community. We need the community to serve as part of those.
I don't want it to get back to the way it was before the flood. I want it to be better. I want us to advance. And there's no reason, with all the resources that we have here, there's no reason why that shouldn't be possible.
What happened is not just a story of despair and destruction, but rather of resilience.
I'm very hopeful. I'm optimistic. I show my emotions a lot of time, but we'll get there.
What we can do is we can serve our community to the best of our ability now, and that's what we have been doing, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to build back bigger and better.
It was the most devastating but yet inspiring thing, ever. And I wouldn't think those two things could live in the same world, but they did.
It was part of our history and our past, but we can't allow it to define our future.
3 to 4 years, being able to see the sunshine come up and the river flowing and the grass back in the areas where it wasn't will be a good day.
And knowing that there is, in fact, hope. After Helene.